Look, there's a very good chance that you're going to hear some stuff here that you disagree with completely and entirely. The point is not to get someone in here, get them to say something ridiculous and eviscerate them, as would be the want with pretty much every single other talk show around the country. No, the desire is to talk to people, find out what they think and why they think it. Even if we disagree, it's very useful to find out how people arrived at their conclusions so that we can better understand one another as a species and evolve and get along and maybe, I don't know, learn something from one another so we can all reach that goal, which is pretty common. I mean, we've talked about this a bunch of times on the show. Right, left, up, down, center, sideways. What do you want as an American? What does everybody want as an American? It's pretty much the same for all of us. You want a roof over your head. You want to not have to worry about there being more month at the end of the money instead of more money at the end of the month. You want, if you have kids, for them to have a real shot at a great education, a real shot at making their way in the world. You want to work and find that work meaningful. We all want these things. We might disagree about the best way to get to these things, but ultimately, if we can bear in mind that we're all working toward the same end goal, we can have a conversation and we can maybe learn something from one another.
AD on the radio.
Ben Carson did something that I think we can all learn from. I know people are going to write Ben Carson off as this wackadoo fringe candidate that nobody ever really took all of that seriously, and maybe that's true, but there's something to be learned from pretty much everyone at some stage or another in the game. And Ben Carson did something amazing. I don't know if you remember this, but Ben Carson, when he thought he was still a person that had a shot at the White House, went down to the Carolinas to try and secure the endorsement of some NASCAR bigwig. I can't exactly remember who it is. Now, NASCAR being what NASCAR is, they had a question for him when he was there. They're like, is it okay if we wave the Confederate flag at NASCAR races? We like doing that. It's something we've always done. It doesn't come from racism. It just comes from that's what you do. You wave the stars and bars as Ricky Bobby is coming in for the checkered flag. And Ben Carson did something that I thought was so incredibly powerful. He explained his experience of the Confederate flag. This genius of a neurosurgeon said that when he moved into a neighborhood with his family that was predominantly white, a couple of folks hung the Confederate flag on their porches as a sign of hate and as a sign of intimidation. And he said that eventually what happened was, in response to that, the rest of the neighborhood shamed them by flying the American flag. And so he didn't say no. No, you can't. No, you can't wave the stars and bars at NASCAR races. But he explained his position. He was like, that it has been used as a symbol of hate and intimidation in my family's experience. As a black man, that's been used against me. He didn't defecate all over anybody else's point of view. He didn't tell them they were wrong. He didn't tell them they were stupid. He didn't tell them they were ignorant. But he explained his position whilst respecting theirs. And that, to me, is the best lesson to be learned when we're looking at the absolute circus that was the GOP in this election cycle. That is a shining beacon of humanity. And you know what? Everybody learned something that day. And rather than getting dug in and arguing about their right to fly the stars and bars and saying, it's heritage, not hate, tell me it's not, they understood a little bit more. And when you build up a level of understanding, that is the stuff that's going to move us forward. That is the stuff that is going to help us evolve. That is the stuff that's going to help us, Americans, not Republicans, not Democrats, not third party, not any. That's what's going to help us win. Having more of an understanding of that which we are not.
Dee Snider says he has a no headbanging policy for his upcoming solo album. What does that mean?
No headbanging policy. I guess he's going to make a different, more gentle type of singer-songwritery music. I don't know how his fans are going to react, but I have a feeling that they're not gonna take it. You're welcome.
Not even gonna buy it.
Hey, speaking of the joyous Yuletide season being on its way, did you know that They're Not Gonna Take It is a ripoff of A Christmas Carol? It's true.
Really?
Dee Snider's talked about this all the time. He said he wanted something like, come all ye faithful. And what he wound up doing was, they're not gonna take it. See? Yeah. He stole Come All Ye Faithful for one of the biggest hair metal hits of the 80s. Go on.
I like that. Info.
Actually, hit the news bed. This qualifies as news. Did you see this? Some guy in the UK, he got arrested for possession of bestiality porn. Why? Because his friend sent him a video of a woman having sex with a man in a tiger suit. The prosecution, though, dropped the charges when they turned up the volume on the video and heard the man in the suit say, "That's great."
They're great.
So this was a thing that happened last night.
I've just received a call from Secretary Clinton.
So my first communication with the outside world today was a text message that I got. The message said, "I haven't been outside yet today. Does America feel great again?" The response, "Oh yeah, very, very great. Believe me." To which I replied, "That's bigly good to hear." Now, here's the thing. I was legitimately nervous going into this election. Why? Not because of one candidate or the other. Because I thought that either way, respect for the office of the president is a thing of the past. If you're like me, you feel like maybe there used to be a time, whether you voted for them or not, if you were an American, you respected who was in office. And if you're like me, you were worried that either way, going into this, when all the dust had settled, half of America would have utter contempt for whoever is president and contempt for the people that voted them in. But you know what? Here's the thing, ultimately, when it comes down to it. You know what I believe in? You know what I believe in every single day? I believe in you, and I believe in me. If you're like me, you've never really thought that a person who held an elected office was or is going to make that much of a difference to your daily life. If you're counting on a politician, local, national, president of these United States of America and leader of the free world to affect the quality of your day when you wake up in the morning and you start going through it, well, you're on a road to Disappointmentville, USA. Population U. I think that you are now and always have been a captain of your own ship. You wake up, you write your own story every single morning. And today, I'm doubling down on the idea of being the best person that I can be. And if you're like me, you're going to be treating others with kindness and compassion, no matter who they are, no matter how they voted. I honestly believe that regardless of who won or who lost, it's the only way forward. And some people are going to say, don't you get it? Kindness and compassion were defeated in this election. The country's so divided. Those things don't matter anymore. But they do. They always have, they always will. You make that decision. Don't tell me this election has taken away your ability to practice kindness and compassion. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. Things to remember for people on both sides of history on this one. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Winston Churchill. Thanks for hanging out.
Researchers say people who work for tips are on a path to poverty.
Oh. People who work for tips are on a path to poverty?
That's what researchers say.
Yeah, that's bad news if you're a moil.
What's a moil?
Moil performs circumcisions.
Oh.
That one was a thinker. Did you need me to break it down for you? Why that's
I
funny?
got it.
Okay, we connected the dots.
Yeah.
AD on the radio.